So they assigned me and my wife wheelchairs we never asked for. And that's not even the craziest part of the story. Let's talk about how a simple flight to Chicago turned into a $500 minivan rental and a 2-day flight to make it to a wedding on time. It's story time. Tonight I'm going to tell you this crazy story about my trip to Chicago. So let's start with the beginning. So several weeks back, I booked a flight for me, my wife, and my youngest daughter to go to, Champaign, Illinois, via Chicago. So I booked it to the nearest airport to me, which is GSP, and I was going to fly from GSP, and I found this cheap ticket site, and I bought the tickets. And so the problem is that you get no points, you get no frills, you can't cancel it. It's difficult to change, but okay. Anyway, so I booked the flight, and it's like 2 weeks before the flight, and they send me this deal where they say, hey, for this amount of money, you can bump up this flight to first class. I have never flown first class in my entire life. I decided I wanted to fly first class. I wanted to, see what the hubbub was about. It's funny because I had a boss, and I would go on business trips, and he flew so often, he would get free bumps to first class all the time. And here I am walking back to coach, past him every time. He never offered to let me fly his first class seat or anything, but okay, fine. Yeah. So anyway, I said, but I've gone this long. I've been on so many trips. I've always been coach. I've never even been business class. So I decided to go first class. So I paid the price. And so we were supposed to leave Friday, July 3rd, to get to the airport. So I'm using the word so too much, I gotta watch that. We get together and we decide, well, our flight is at 6:30 p.m. Now, I should have booked a morning flight, and I had a morning flight booked, but I was on that cheap sites, and eventually trying to change generations around, I accidentally booked an evening flight on the first day. The wedding is on Saturday, so the 4th of July. So here I am, July 3rd. So we leave like early. The flight's not till 6:30. We leave early, and way early, like 2 o'clock, leave the house. And we realize, man, this is really early. And then we get a notice, your flight's been delayed by an hour. Okay, no big deal. So we then go and decide to go buy some shoes, because who doesn't? I wanted to get a different pair of shoes for all the walking I knew I was going to be doing. So I went and I got a pair of shoes, and we really were going for Don to get a pair of shoes, but I wanted a pair too. So I like the Hey Dudes shoes, okay? They're very comfortable, very relaxed. That's kind of like me. And so I then proceed to go, and we're at the airport at 4 o'clock. The flight's not till 7:30 now. Then it gets bumped to 8 something. Then it gets bumped to 9 something. And I'm thinking, this is bad. It's going to get canceled. It's like 9:46. Then it gets bumped up to 9:06. Oh, that's good. That means the plane's on the way, because it was obviously coming from somewhere else to go to Chicago. But ultimately, here it is. It's 9:30 at night. Well, yeah, 8:30, 9:30. The flight is canceled. Okay. So I go to the desk. I'm the first one at the counter, and I'm like, "Hey, the flight just got canceled." Oh, yeah, they did a rush. Oh, okay. So it did get canceled. Okay, yeah. Your best bet is to use the app. Really? But I'm here. No, your best bet is to use the app. So I go and I attempt to use the app, and here's a flight at 7 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, the day of the wedding. And so I try to book it. And it says, yep, go to the hunt. And then so, nope, flight unavailable. Then there's like others, and I keep clicking. And then finally, nothing's available. The whole page is gone. There's nothing I can book. So this worker says, you should go by the desk. Why didn't you go up to the desk? I'm like, well, I did. So I went up to the counter and said, hey, look, the flight's canceled. Everyone I tried doing the app, it's not letting me do. So I don't know what to do. So they then So the lady says, okay, well, all right, so I can book you on the 12 o'clock, 12 something flight. I'm like, no, that we're going to a wedding. The wedding is at 4. If I book that flight, I will not make the wedding in time because I got to drive 2.5 hours after I land to the wedding. Oh, so I said, how about this? Is there anything in Charlotte? So she said, oh yeah, here's a flight in Charlotte, but you're not gonna get your first class seats. Okay, fine. We gotta get this wedding. So I get a flight booked in Charlotte. So I say, hey Donna, we're gonna go to Charlotte. So they booked the flight from Charlotte to Chicago, and so I try to get on the app to cancel my car reservation. It's already canceled itself. I guess it realized I hadn't shown up and I wasn't going to show up, so therefore it canceled it. So we drive to Charlotte, get a hotel for the night, and then we go and I'm getting ready to lay down, and I realize, oh crap, they booked the flight from Charlotte to Chicago, but the flight back is still booked from Chicago to GSP. And my car is not going to be in Greenville. So I then proceed to call the airline, and I got a human right away. I don't know what that was about. Got a human, explains the situation. Oh yeah, that is no good. Let me see. Okay. So he then books me a flight from Chicago back to GSP. And this time we get to keep our first class seats that I had bought because I was never gone first class before. So that was exciting. Now, the other part is that when we look at the reservation we have, and I didn't do this on the phone, but Donna was looking at it as we were going, and I realized literally my wife and my daughter and I are each going to be sitting in the middle on a different row, not sitting together. So Donna goes in and checks it out and gets us seats close together. Basically bumps us up to business class. So I never flown business class, so that was fun. So cool. So that way Alyssa wasn't sitting with two strangers. And so I was pretty excited about that. That was fun. All right. So the next morning we get up, we go to the airport. We are sitting in the terminal, and suddenly, we're calling up early boarders, and they say the Richardsons to 3 come to the counter. So we go to the counter. We have no idea why. I thought, well, maybe it's a holdover from our first class or something. I don't know. I mean, we're not flying first class now, but yeah. So you guys need 2 wheelchairs? I'm like, no, we don't need 2 wheelchairs. What? Well, it says on here you need 2 wheelchairs. Are you going to need 2 wheelchairs when you get to Chicago? No, I don't know what that's about. So anyway, Donna and I and our daughter are the first ones aboard the plane pretty much right after the crew, because they called us up thinking we needed wheelchairs. I'm like, no, I think we're okay. We don't need wheelchairs. So I don't know what that was about. I don't know what happened in the ensuing madness of all the ticket changes. The other thing, and this is funny, is that so Friday night I'm in the hotel and I'm trying to rebook with National, who I had the car booked with, and they have nothing. They have nothing available. I then try Enterprise. Enterprise has nothing available, and I'm like, well, what other car rental place is there? So I download Alamo. I think they're owned by National. I'm not positive of that. But so I download the Alamo app, and they only have one thing available. They have a 7-passenger minivan. Okay, so I go, Donna looks to see what it's going to cost to get an Uber from the, ORD, Chicago O'Hare, to go from there to Champaign to the hotel where we're going. And it's like $260 or $270 for a one-way Uber. So I said, I guess I'm going to rent this $500-something minivan then. The minivan is $500-something because nearly 33% of it is taxes and fees from the airport. So, that stung. But I'm like, if I got to pay for an Uber twice, that will be more than the $500. I'm going to need to be able to drive around Champaign while I'm there. So I rent the 7-passenger minivan. So anyway, we do land in Chicago. We landed like 15 minutes early. We landed at like 10:45. We're supposed to land at 11. So we immediately go and take the trains to the rental place, which took some finagling and understanding because I did not know my way around Chicago airport. So we get to the rental car, and there's a huge line. And the other thing that was funny is that in the app, they wouldn't let me pay for the van. They wouldn't let me pay for it. So I have to go to the desk because Donna's like, well, let me go see if, let me go upstairs where they pick up the cars. And she went and asked and said, hey, can you pick up the car? And the guy's like, well, yeah, if you got the barcode, come on up. And then Donna's like, you got a barcode? I'm like, no, they never let me pay. So I have to wait in this long line at Alamo to get the minivan. And there's all these people. So I get up to the counter and said, look, if you got something other than the minivan, like a sedan or something, I'm totally okay with it. I'm only flying 3 people in 2 suitcases. So they said, nope, all we got is that minivan. So we pick up our minivan. We get out there, and they've got a whole row of minivans. Now, my daughter wants us to get the red one. I'm like, nope, I am not going to blatantly advertise myself to the cops. I am going to get a different color. So we pick a black one. It was really nice. I'll show you some pictures in a minute. It was a really nice minivan. I can't complain. It was a really nice minivan. So we then proceed to get in the minivan, and we drive to Champaign. Now, there is so much construction on the interstate between Champaign and Chicago and Champaign. And I am trying to observe the speed limit, so I am using the cruise control. I figured out how to turn on the adaptive cruise control. If you've ever had adaptive cruise control, the one where it's got LiDAR or some kind of radar, and it's able to it's able to say, hey, stay 3 car lengths back and go. That's great. But the problem is that we kept hitting these construction zones. They dropped down to 45. And then all of a sudden the speed limit would go up to 70. Like 70. Okay, great. And then I go to another section, it'd be like 60. And then be back to 45. So what? Okay, so it was a pain. It did finally get to a big long stretch where I could put it on 70 miles an hour and cruise. Because otherwise, this van was so smooth. It was a very nice van. This van drove so smooth that you didn't feel the speed. So it felt like I was going so slow if I was doing 55 in this van. But anyway, it was very nice. It was a very fancy van. I have to admit, I liked it. I don't want one, but ever again, I've had a minivan, but I don't want one ever again. But if I did, it would be this one. I like this one. So we drive to Champaign. We stops for food somewhere along. We went to a lot of Five Guys. My youngest daughter is a big fan of Five Guys. The burgers, I do like Five Guys burgers. So we finally get to Champaign, get to the hotel. It's 3 o'clock. The wedding is at 4. So we check in. We run upstairs. We get to the room. We all change into what we're going to wear to the wedding. And then Donna has told her friends that I have this minivan, so now it's going to be the party bus. And everybody says, well, we'll just ride with you. Great. So the wedding is only like 4 blocks away. And originally we had intended to walk, but it was raining period off and on. So we all got in the van, and we waited for one person to get in. There's always one person who is late to every event. Now it turns out the wedding really is at 4:30. Thank goodness, because otherwise, if it were 4, we weren't going to make it. So we get to the wedding.